Hi guys, I'm Sinara, social media manager at Fratello. We've been getting a lot of messages from you asking us about our editor's picks, our editor's favorite watches, and that's why I'm here joined by RJ, and he's here to talk about the most memorable watches from his watch collection. Hi guys, I'm Sinara from Fratello Watches. I'm the social media manager here, and I'm joined today with RJ, and we're here to talk about his watch collection, or at least some part of it, which is basically the meaningful pieces from his collection. So yeah, as a social media manager, I've been noticing we've been getting a lot of DMs and messages about our personal favorites and which watches are preferred by our editors. So yeah, so we thought we'd kickstart the series and talk about some of the most memorable watches that our editors have in their collection. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So rather than doing my best watches or my most favorite watches, I think it's indeed my most memorable watches, or the watches that are most meaningful to me. So I brought them with me today, 7 of them. And yeah, let's go ahead.
It's quite a beautiful collection. I think I want to start with the one that caught my eye first, and that's the Gold Omega here.
Yeah.
Could you tell me more about that?
Yeah, of course. And I think that's also my most important watch, actually. This watch is a piece that I got from my grandfather. He bought it in 1969, February 6th. I have the receipt and the books. And so my grandparents, they had a bridal boutique in the 60s, and at some point they needed to sell it due to health reasons. And with the proceedings, I think they treated themselves well. they bought some jewelry and some watches. My grandmother bought herself Omega Lady Matic in gold, and my grandfather bought this gold Constellation. And he wore it from 1969 onwards to 2011 when he passed away. And during Christmas 2011, I received this watch from my father, basically, who kept it then. Very interesting is that this bracelet is custom made. So it came on a Milanese bracelet, but they tended to open up on the side so it would rip his shirts. So after a few years, he had this bracelet custom made by a jeweler. And I think it suits the watch very well. I think a very nice choice. The interesting thing is that when I got this watch, the dial was a bit washed out. So it was damaged and so on. And I wanted to do something about that, and it gave me a hard time to either replace the dial or have the dial refinished. And that's a bit of blasphemy in watch collecting, to restore a dial or reprint a dial. But at some point, my watchmaker, the Fratello watchmaker, Paul Diva, he said, "Why don't you restore the dial? Because now you're not wearing it. If you replace the dial, it's not your grandfather's dial. So if you restore it, at least it has the same dial." So I went ahead, I gave it to the watchmaker. He went to a company in Germany, refinished the dial, and it's exactly, well, the dial that my grandfather had. The work has been perfect. I do have a replacement dial. I was also offered a replacement dial by Omega when I brought this watch to their headquarters, and I said, no, it's a little bit too different. So I really want to have the same dial, and I think the only way to accomplish this was to have the dial restored. So this is a very important watch to me. I only wear it during Christmas, so I had to get it out of the safe, especially for this occasion. So that's my Christmas watch.
It's a beautiful watch and with a beautiful story as well. But I think we also need to talk about the Speedmasters, because this wouldn't be a Fratello video without them.
True. So I brought 4 Speedmasters that are, I think, most meaningful to me. I left out one that is also very meaningful, but perhaps we can cover that another time. I brought 4 Speedmasters. Let's start with my first Speedmaster. It's a Speedmaster 145012. So it's a vintage Speedmaster from 1967. This one was produced in 1968, actually. And I bought it when I was still a student. I had no money. But I sold my car to finance it, and that's dedication indeed. And I always kept it, and I think it also is more valuable today than my car, although I will never sell it. I really love this watch. It has caliber 321, so the caliber that Omega reintroduced 2 years ago. And I wore it during my whole time in university. So it has seen a lot of bars and counters, and it has a lot of dents and things, and it has been restored. So it's not the perfect vintage Speedmaster, but yeah, it's my watch, and I wore it for a long time. And as you can see, it's damaged more or less here and there, but it's still original bezel, original hands, original dial. So it's a cool piece.
It looks stunning, and like you said, what you do with a watch, you wear them, so it shows sense of wear.
Exactly. Watch yourself for wearing, people. Yeah. So another important one for me is the Snoopy. When this came out in 2003, it was not that popular. There was a dog on the dial, and Omega's marketing department is not what it is today, so now they're much better at storytelling. It wasn't a good seller, then value went up during the years, and in 2013 I was offered this one in New York, but I had to pick it up basically.
Okay.
And then my daughter was born end of May in 2013, and I had planned to pick it up like 7 days later. I thought that's enough time for my wife and daughter. I will pick up the watch, and then my wife said, "Oh no, are you crazy? We're not going to do this." So I waited another month, and then I picked up this watch in New York from another collector. We had a collector's dinner, and it was a lot of fun. So I picked up this watch in New York together with the Apollo 13 watch from '95, both in pristine condition, new old stock condition as it's called, so never worn. Backside is also really interesting.
I love this one.
So it has this Snoopy sticker on the case back. It's the Snoopy badge basically. It's yeah, beautiful watch. Then we have the Speedy Tuesday. I think a little introduction needed, but for me it's super meaningful because basically it's our own or my own design Speedmaster. And I think that's quite special to be able to say that. And it opened a lot of doors, not only with Omega, but also with a lot of other brands. I have number 13 because I was born on the 13th. My daughter is from 2013, so I try to collect number 13s a little bit. So you will also find that number 13 on this gold Speedmaster that I brought. It's the Apollo 11 50th anniversary from 2019, and for me this is an amazing watch. The gold Speedmaster was originally introduced in '69. I saw it when I just started collecting watches when I bought this one. I was in touch with a watchmaker, and he had the original one of this, so I was exposed to it early on. And it was my grail watch basically. And then this came out in 2019, and I actually felt this is even better. It has modern technology inside, so it will not age in the same way that the vintage ones do. I think this will remain to have its luster with the Moonshine gold and the ceramic bezel and a proper movement. And I wear this a lot. You can say that because you're in the office every day, so you've seen me wearing this watch a lot. And yeah, I really love this Moonshine Gold Speedmaster. So these are the Speedies that I brought that are incredibly meaningful to me.
The most iconic watches in the office, I'd say.
Perhaps, yes, yeah.
And okay, what about the Rolex? Because it's such a famous watch. I see it everywhere, and on Instagram everyone's talking about it, and there's the concern about it not being as obtainable right now as it was before. So Rolex is in a different position today because the demand is so incredibly high that they can't deliver. This is a watch that I bought last year, but so this is a Sea-Dweller. It's the professional big brother of the Submariner. So it's a diving watch. You can see it has this valve here. It's for saturation diving. This watch is from the mid-90s, but I purchased it last year, but I already had one before. It was actually my first sports Rolex that I bought in 2003 when I just started working. And the prices were totally different back then. But I really love this watch, and at some point I sold it and I regretted it. So I was able to buy one back, and for me this is the sports Rolex. I love it a lot. I also like the Explorer, for example, but it's a bit too small for me. And this is a 40mm Sea-Dweller. I think it's perfect on the wrist, and it ticks many boxes. I bought it from a friend, so it's extra meaningful to me, good friend. And I don't wear Rolex often because of all the security issues that we've come across in recent times. And but yeah, I wear it and I enjoy it. I just keep it on the down low when posting on Instagram. But for me, this is the sports Rolex. It's more interesting watch than the modern Rolexes with the ceramic bezel. So the Sea-Dweller is for me an important watch. It's a beautiful classic watch. It's very simple, but it's very wearable as well. And last but not least, let's talk about the Grand Seiko here.
Yeah, so this is this is a special one. I love the brand. I love Seiko and Grand Seiko. They invited me to go to the manufacture in 2015 in Japan. An amazing trip. And I returned in 2017 again with some of our readers. And I immediately fell in love with Grand Seiko as a brand. I saw the commitment of the watchmakers and how everything is done by hand, the polishing. It's called Zaratsu polishing, so with all the mirror blade surfaces. And man, that really made me fall in love with the brand, but also with their watches. But for me, it was key to buy that perfect Grand Seiko for me. I get a lot of emails from people asking me about, I want to buy my first Speedmaster, so it needs to be perfect. And then I thought, I need to do the same, but with Grand Seiko. I want to have one Grand Seiko and I really want to pick the best one for me. So it was between this one and the Snowflake. I saw both in Japan, but at that time I could not make the decision which one to buy. In the end, I decided for this one because of the case shape. It has the 44GS case style shape. And I put on a leather strap because I think it highlights the case a little bit better that way. It's nicknamed the Mount Iwate because of the little structure in the dial. And it has a high beat movement, so it ticks at a higher speed than most other watches. And yeah, for me it's just a lovely watch. I don't wear it that often, but on this leather strap I think it's a really nice, more or less a dress watch. It's a little bit too thick perhaps, but...
I do think it looks amazing with the leather strap, and the color combination is just lovely. But yeah, I guess that's it for your collection.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for telling me all about it. I know it's very special to you. And your explanation is very special to me, and I'm sure to our audience as well. So that was it. That was the most memorable watches from RJ's collection. Thank you so much for this talk.
You're welcome.
And yeah, we hope you really enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.